Good day, parents and students. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. A few days back, we started a topic on atom element electronic configuration. That is the way electrons are arranged in the atom of elements. So today we are reaching the conclusion on that topic, and I want to show, so far we learned that elements are made up of atoms. Elements are made up of atoms. Elements are made up of atoms. So when you talk about elements, any element at all, they are all made up of atoms. Also, we learned that atoms contain protons, neutrons, and electrons. These proton, neutrons, and electrons, three types of particles, they are what we call subatomic particles. Every atom contains proton, neutron, and electron. Every atom contains proton or protons, neutrons, and electrons. Now, number of protons in an atom tells us the atomic number of that atom. For example, carbon takes number 6 in the arrangement of the first 20 elements. So it shows that the number of protons in carbon atom is 6, which also forms the atomic number. So atomic number, if they ask what is an atomic number of an atom, of an element, it is the number of protons in that atom. The atomic number is the same thing as number of protons in that atom. If the proton number is 10, that means the atomic number of that element is 10. If the proton number of an element, remember atoms form elements, so when we're talking about element, we're just talking about many atoms forming an element. So if the proton number of a particular atom that forms element is 6, that means the atomic number of that element is going to be 6. So in other words, proton number is equated to atomic number. So when you're asked what is proton, what is atomic number? Atomic number is the number of protons in an element. So when you know the proton number of an element, you'll be able to deduce the atomic number of an element because they're the same, they're equal. Proton is equal to atomic number. So we can deduce number of electrons also. When an atom is neutral, is in a neutral state, you can say that the number of protons is also equal to the number of electrons. That is only applicable to element or atom that is in a neutral state. When you get to chemistry class, you will be taught about this neutral state of atom. So the first 20 elements are the very important personalities or VIPs in chemistry, and the distribution of electrons in these first 20 elements, in their shells, follow this sequence: 2, 8, 8, and 2. Remember, the first 20 elements is numbered 1 to 20, meaning that the last element should be 20, which happens to be calcium. Now, this first 20 elements, last week I taught us that there is a memory song that we normally use to remind ourselves about the way they are arranged, because the arrangement matters. Once you know the arrangement, this form the foundation for your chemistry, to be able to navigate so many topics in chemistry. Like I was saying, an atom normally contains a nucleus in the middle, and this nucleus houses proton and neutron. The proton and neutron of an atom lives or stays or are located inside the nucleus. So the nucleus of any atom contains proton and neutron. And then what happens to the electron? Because like I said, the three subparticles, the three subatomic particles in an atom are proton, neutron, and electron. I just told you now that proton and neutron are located inside the nucleus of an atom, which is in the middle. Now, what happens to the electron? Because I told you that the three atomic particles of an atom are proton, neutron, and electron. And proton and neutron are located inside the nucleus of an atom, which is found in the middle of an atom. Then what happens to electrons, which is the third subatomic particle? Now the electrons are found around the shell. They are found in the orbits that surround the nucleus. They are found in the orbits that surround the nucleus, and this orbit we call it shells. This orbit we call it shells. So it depends on the number of depends on the number of electrons that particular element has. If the electrons are 20, there is a rule that guides the way the electrons are distributed in each of the cells. So the rule says that the innermost shell, that is the one that follows the nucleus directly, that's after the nucleus, the shells that comes after the nucleus, for the first 20 elements can house only 2. Then the shell that follows that one, which you can call the second shell now, can occupy the maximum of 8 electrons. Then the shell that follows it can occupy maximum of another 8 electrons. Remember, we're talking about the first 20 elements, and the shell that now follows, which is the fourth shell, can occupy 2. Now, what we are looking at now is the electronic configuration of calcium, because we say 2 plus 8, that's 10, 10 plus 8, 18, 8 plus 2, 20, and calcium is the last of the elements in the first 20 elements, and the atomic number of calcium is 20, meaning that the proton number of calcium is also 20. And I say in a neutral atom, the number of proton equals the number of electron. So the next shell, like I was explaining, I say innermost shell after the nucleus can accommodate maximum number of 2 electrons. Remember, we are talking about the first 20 elements. Then the next shell to it after the first shell, the second shell, can accommodate maximum number of 8 electrons. This is applicable to all the elements in the first 20 elements. So, and the next maximum and the next shell also maximum number of 8 electrons. So we have 2 8 8 already. And then for the last element in that series, we have calcium, which is 20, which contains 20 electrons. So that means for calcium, we write 2, 8, which is 10, then another 8, which is 18, then the last 2 will now go to the last shell. So in a way, we can say that calcium contains 4 shells. Calcium contains 4 shells, and the maximum, the atomic number of calcium is 20, because calcium comes as number 20, and then that means it contains 20 protons, it contains 20, it also contains 20 electrons. Now these electrons are arranged like this. Look at it, we call it electronic configuration. Number 1, that's I'm talking about calcium now. Last week I gave all the list of how electrons are distributed in all the first 20 elements, but today we are just narrowing that to calcium. Look at calcium. Calcium has atomic number 20, meaning that the proton number is going to be 20, meaning that electron number also is 20. So we are talking about electrons now. So according to our rule, the first shell after the nucleus can accommodate can accommodate 2 electrons. That's the first shell. The second shell, maximum number of 8 electrons. The third shell, maximum number of 8 electrons. That means that's 18, remaining 2. Then the last 2 will now go to the last shell, number 4 shell. So last week I gave us, or I think last lecture, I gave us how electrons are distributed in all the 20 elements. And what can really help you as science student is to know the serial arrangement of these elements, because you cannot carry hydrogen to number 20 and carry calcium to number 1. It's not possible. So how do I now know? That brings us back to the song I taught us, which I call our memory song. So I will sing it again now. You can look at your notes, or you go back to the video of last week. You see where I applied everything. But let me just wrap it up this way. The song goes, let's sing it together. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are clean cats. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are clean cats. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are clean cats. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are killing cats. If you count the number of words, they are all 20, and as they are arranged sequentially, that's the same way you use the acronym of one letter and another letter in that word of LOLON to form the symptom and the symbols of the atoms, the symbols of the elements, and then it cannot help you. Like L now, H, like I said last week, L, the first, we all know, and I want you to know it now and know it forever, that the first element in the serial or in the periodic table is always hydrogen. So the first L, the H there represents hydrogen. The second L, the H here, the first 2 letters H represents helium. The third one, lithium, that's lithium. Baker, that's beryllium, B. Then Baker brings boron, certain, carbon. So the first letter in all this song, in this memory song, will help you to memorize all these elements. And as we move forward more in science, you'll be able to know that the first 20 elements contains all these elements. But now, like aluminum, now we know that it's part of it. So like I was saying, I was singing the song, but for us to get it very right and get it correctly, so I said let me write it out again for us, and then merge it with the elements and also the symbol of that element. Remember, the song says, I will go through the song before I will now tell us the elements that are attached to each of the letter, each of the word. So here we go. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are killing cats. Let me go right again. Hello, hello, little baker, bring certain news of flavor now. National manager always says, perhaps some chlorine are killing cats. Now, the importance of this song is to help us know the arrangement of these elements, because if you get the arrangement correctly, you'll be able to get the atomic number. Not only the atomic number, you'll be able to get also the number of protons, and you'll be able to get the number of neutrons, because like I said, they are all equal in a neutral atom. So the first one, L, H, this H represents hydrogen, which is the symbol. The second one, L, helium, which is He. Lithium, Li. Baker, B, beryllium, Be. bring, that's the first letter B, which is boron, B. Certain, C there, we are using this one to remember that number 6 element in the first 20 elements is carbon, C. Then we have news, nitrogen, N. Oxygen is from O. Oxygen, let me so that I can see it again. So oxygen, O. Then number 9, flavor, which is fluorine. Now, as we are saying all these things, it's telling us the symbol. It's also telling us the number of electron, proton, and atomic number. Then the song continues. Now, which is N, new, number 10. National, Na. Like I said last time, that though sodium did not start with Na, you see it's different from the other ones, that the first 2 letters, merges with the number, with the name of the element or the first letter. But sodium is different because the Na, which is the symbol of sodium, is actually taken from the Latin name of sodium, which is natron. Then manager, Mg, which is magnesium. Aluminium, that's number 13. And once you say it's always aluminium, Al, it reminds you, because all over the world, everywhere you get to, aluminium atomic number is 13. And you actually need all this information, even your calculation in chemistry, and even when you at GS3 exams, SS1, foundation, you need all this information. But they ask you what is the atomic number of this, what is the electron configuration of this. So once you know this arrangement, you can get some questions done easily and cheaply. Then number 14 says silicon, CS silicon. Then 15 perhaps, which is phosphorus. Then some, the S there tells us is sulfur. Then chlorine, still chlorine. Argon. Then killing, potassium, just like sodium. K is the symbol for potassium, but there's no K in the name of potassium, but the name, that symbol is taken from the Latin name of potassium, which is kalium. Then we have cats, which is the last, which represents or reminds us that it represents the last element in the first 20 elements, the series or the arrangement that calcium comes last, which is Ca. See, cat, Ca. So all this song is not part of chemistry, but we use it as memory song to remind us about this first 20 element. I learnt mine since 1985, and I've never forgotten it till now. It's just in my brain till now, so it helps a lot. So if you can memorize the song, it will help you. So this brings us to the end of the class. I want you to study, listen to the previous videos, and do all the questions, answer them, the question and answer that I posted, study them, and you'll see that it will be very, very helpful. Thank you very much. God bless you.